And there we are after a week off. Welcome back into another episode of TigerBait Live. Buddy Songy in the house. Weather changes, allergies going crazy. Just popped a Zyrtec, but we're going to get through it. Of course, we missed last week. I told you guys the week before that I was going to do two shows last week, and this machine right here went on the fritz the day before National Signing Day. One of the worst scenarios in all my years covering recruiting for that to happen. So I went out and bought this computer that's in front of Buddy, and it got me through. So we're back after a week off. We got a lot to talk about. LSU football recruiting. We can talk about last week's class, what we didn't get to talk about last week, wrapping it up. And, of course, there's still some spots left in the transfer portal. LSU basketball, they break that losing streak at Texas A&M last night, a must-win and a big win for Will Wade. We're going to talk about whether they can get some more wins in the fold. LSU baseball, how many days away? We're not far. And Kim Mulkey and LSU women's basketball continue to stack up the wins. So George is up next for the Lady Tigers. So all that and more to talk about tonight on TigerBait Live. And, of course, we're brought to you by Pride Roofing, Alex Martinez and Mike Faraday. And want to give all our best to the Faraday family. Their dear mother, Gladys, is in a bad way right now. And so our thoughts and prayers are with them. So we'll talk more about Pride Roofing a little bit later in the show, but welcome in, buddy.
Yeah, good to see you, Mike, as always, doing these shows. We have a lot of fun. Whoo, you pulled up the pictures. So, wintertime is not great for all of us. It gets into that 29, 32. You eat a lot of comfort food. You don't get the sun, so I truly look like a mess tonight. So, and let me say this from the get-go. We so often, when we're watching ball games and coaches and players, we judge people by how they audibilize, and when something falls out of place, how they handle it. And kudos to you. You handled it very well, certainly much better than me. I really thought Mike was joking right there, a day and a half or whatever it was before signing day.
Day before.
And you did a great job handling that. And that's what we talk about with quarterbacks. So I've had a lot of fun with all the Joe Burrow love and all of the dots being connected with LSU and Cincinnati. Had Brandon Sejo, who used to be at WBRZ, who's a Cincinnati born and bred, and he's over there now. But it's such a great story. And, oh, by the way, folks, don't feel like we did not have an omen. When that computer went down, there were 6 prospects. And Mike and I, obviously joked about 5 for 5. They got 2 of 5, right? Jamal Adams and Fournette, and ended up being better. This was 6. And when that computer went down and LSU lost the basketball game, all of those things started to tumble. You ended up with 2 out of 6. And, of course, because of that, you didn't get the ecstasy of Harold Perkins signing. That's a big get. A lot of people haven't talked about that because
one player in the state of Texas.
But my point is that you handled it well, and you just worry about the ones that are here and not the ones that aren't at LSU. And it's going to be interesting to see a very meticulous build back up of this LSU football program and how patient the fans will be and how good Brian Kelly and his staff will be in this challenge. And you got to like the fact he came here, right, to win a national championship. You're not going to do it overnight, but we'll talk about what the pieces to the puzzle were added last Wednesday.
Yeah, look, it's always, there's all the quotes going back. It's not the ones you don't sign, it's the ones you do sign. And look, and I said it on your show today, these college football coaches, whether it's Napier at Florida, Saban always wants to do what he can every year in Louisiana, Jimbo Fisher now, and he's got T-Rob and other assistant coaches recruiting Louisiana. They smell chum in the water, and they're going to test Brian Kelly and his new staff. This wasn't just a fluke what they did this last deal. So you've got a new staff, a program trying to get their footing after a bad couple of seasons. Now you got NIL in the mix and all that means in trying to lure in kids. So they're going to test LSU every step of the way. And like I said on your show earlier, I think one of the things that we need to start seeing, and we're already seeing a bunch of kids starting to say they're going to come to LSU on March 5th, a bunch of out-of-state big timers, 5-star cornerback earlier today. So they're going to start having junior days. But, I wonder if Brian Kelly is going to realize that a lot of the things that he did at Notre Dame in regards to recruiting is going to be a lot different. And I think he does, but we don't know it because we haven't had a chance to talk to him. I mean, I'd like to ask him, do you feel like you're going to have to be more hands-on in recruiting? Because if you're not going to be able to just sit in the office and have your assistant coaches bring them in for junior day weekends. These players in the South are used to receiving Skype calls, FaceTime, Zoom calls from head football coaches. And yeah, there's many ways to skin a cat, but I think that's one thing that you can't avoid. I think that's something he's going to have to do. And so,
and time is the best teacher. Look, you cannot go at Cincinnati and be fantastic and then have an incredible run at Notre Dame. And I detected a little bit, and I've never said this, but I detected a little bit of the same mindset with Notre Dame fans when Brian Kelly left than when Nick Saban left LSU. Now, Brian Kelly was double-digit years. But you get to that point where, you old son of a you-know-what, go on and go to the SEC. But there was some jilted lover syndrome from Notre Dame people. Same thing with Nick. The difference is that Nick won that.
Well, it's a blow to their ego.
But Nick won a national championship, and then, of course, as we know, went to Miami and then came back to Bama. But my point is that I think you're exactly right. There's no way in hell that Brian Kelly, and basically everybody knew, is going to come in here. Frank Wilson trying to tell him about how the cow eats the cabbage here. You got to dance with these guys. You got to be more open. You got to enjoy it more. You got to get more invested. But you don't learn all those lessons overnight. It's going to take a good year and a half.
And by the way, it's not just the players. It's the local high school coaches. The local coaches are like, where's he at? Like, so-and-so's been here. So-and-so's been here. I'm getting text messages from high school coaches. Where's BK? Everybody's been here.
But has anybody else had a changeover like
No,
Brian Kelly has?
And so
he's prioritizing right now.
So my point is, what I'm saying is might be moot, and it's just the growing pains and getting his footing, getting everybody in place, getting a game plan, knowing the lay of the land. Okay, all right, this is what we need to do. No, scratch that. We're going to go. That didn't work. Let's do this. And I think there's going to be some of that push pull, but I think, and there's some media guys saying it under their breath. There's some guys saying it publicly, maybe one or two. But it doesn't need to be that they're reactive. They need to be proactive. Where they're not reacting into where LSU's not the last school to come into the school. They're one of the first schools. And but a big percentage of that is the fact that he just got here. But
his last coach just got over here after Kansas City. This is not a normal situation. And look, I'm not sitting and telling you Brian Kelly's right the way he's done it. We don't know what he's done.
I just,
but you can't learn to lay the landscape.
I keep adding one more caveat. I'm not meaning to do that, but the figurehead way of doing it, I don't think is going to fly.
But he's not going to learn that in a month or two. It's going to take him a year and a half. We sat there in a press conference trying to explain to Nick Saban why Ole Miss was called Mississippi. No, Coach, it's Ole Miss. Well, why they call them Ole Miss? I don't know. It's Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. We talked about overtime. We talked about human nature. We talked about all these things. It took Saban a good year and a half, and he's astute and has as much attention to detail. What did Nick Saban do when he first came in here? Played great defense and sat on it in the third quarter. He doesn't do that anymore, right? So, I understand what you're saying from a recruiting standpoint. I just think right now, unfortunately, that has not been prioritized. Now, since you're getting something off your chest, And I know you don't think this is a big deal, but I liked seeing Danny Lewis have a big weekend in the Dome. And seeing that tight end is damn sure a neat area. I thought they were late to get on him. They should have been, even when you had transition. Because guess what? His teammate next year is really good, and Lewis is out of spot, and I don't know what the deal was, but talking about mistakes, LSU as a whole made a ton of mistakes with NIL. And you got to understand how the game is played, and that means that A&M and Texas and all these other mega-rich schools are going to make you compete in ways that you haven't had to compete. And everybody that went to that meeting thought that the right hand was being led by the left hand. They didn't know what the hell they were talking about. So, but don't do. And you and I went back and forth with this Rich Eisen thing, and I know that was on the board too. But I think what Rich Eisen was saying is from a PR and perception standpoint. You're doing this video, it goes viral for 8 million. And now you got Saban in Alabama saying, that guy ended up dancing with Nick.
But see, you know, Rich Eisen likes to have fun because he's a Michigan guy. But
I understand that.
boy, you know, the one thing about Eisen, he is absolutely giddy like all the rest of us when it comes to Joe Burrow.
Absolutely.
And of course, Carson Palmer's making the rounds with all of them. McAfee, him, Dan Patrick. And man, it's been a love fest for Joe Burrow nationally this whole week. And now you got Gronk saying he would come out of retirement to play with Burrow and only Burrow. It's crazy what out there. And just, man, if the Bengals do it Sunday, it's going to be something else. I mean, we're already seeing it on our message boards. And, of course, we have a relationship with Fanatics. A lot of LSU fans are buying Cincinnati Bengal, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase gear through us, and we appreciate that. But I don't know about you. I'm seeing Bengals gear all over town.
And people are excited. They're already starting to plan their parties. It's incredible what he has
I'm getting
done.
Cindy across the street to make me a special king cake for Super Bowl party.
By the way, folks, I'm big and heavy right now, but I've not had any of that sugar with Mike. Unfortunately, I'm a snacker and nervous eating. But back to what I was trying to say about Brian Kelly and recruiting. You can't come into a foreign land, area code, conference, competition. Nobody plays football in the division like the SEC West. Nobody. Everybody's a great coach. Everybody's got great talent, big stadiums, fan bases. And so he's not going to learn all of those nuances overnight. The good thing that you can hang your hat on to is that he's done this before. He knows that his plan is going to work, but he's going to have to tweak it to what works down here. And maybe a guy at a running back here locally wants to hear. That coach wants to hear.
You know what, too? People need to make a mental note right now of how quiet it is, of how quiet things are. And it's solely due to all the new coaches. There's nobody who's been here for 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years. You know, and even the new guys like Frank Wilson and you know, guys who have been here before. They're not talking. We've had one press conference over 2 months ago. So, you know, and that's how we get hit upside the head with a linebacker from South Carolina on Sunday that we hadn't been following. And it's because they're methodically going out about our business. And some people are saying, what are they doing? They're not doing anything. No, they're doing stuff. It's just that you haven't had a staff here that's been in place for so many years and everybody talking and all these, you've got coaches who've never lived in Louisiana. They're not going to your gym. You haven't met them yet. You're not running into them at the grocery store. And so that takes time. But part of the reason why it's so quiet is because these guys don't know anybody and they're not leaking to anybody yet. They don't know anybody. They just got here.
And I think that they still have a lot of questions that are going to have to be answered. And look, we were just talking about Joe Burrow. Folks, it just kind of hit me the last couple of days. You look at that guy, a confident swagger, those steely blue eyes, and I thought the best quote he had was that, look, if you'd have told me before the season we were going to be going to the Super Bowl, I'd have said that's surreal. But he says, man, when we look at what we did, they were 7-6 at one point. And Joe convinced the coach, Zach Taylor, who used to be a quarterback and was a good one, we gotta be a little more aggressive on offense. This running on first and second down and getting sacked and all that. We got to go for some plays. We got to throw it over the top. We got to get unpredictable and go for the throat. And that's Joe Burrow. And he's used his feet to do that. And so this whole nation has fallen in love with Joe Burrow. And I got a new nickname for him. You'll know this. Joe Namath, Montana, Burrow. He's got the kahunas and onions of Joe Namath.
That's 6 names.
No, it's 4. Joe Namath.
Montana, Burrow.
Joe Montana. By the way, he's 4-0 in Super Bowls. And Joe Burrow, who has got this whole country. Now, guess who hung with him for 2 years and watched him for 2 years? Miles Brennan. Now, we know Miles Brennan is a different cat. He loves to go fishing, just got engaged, great guy. But that's the beautiful thing. The guys that were on that team and the team that had the hangover from 19, you can reflect and say, man, I got to watch more tape. The difference in Joe Burrow and all those guys, Mike, is one F word, and you can say it on Facebook, YouTube, radio, everywhere. And it's not 4 letters, it's 5 letters. Focus.
Andy Whitaker says video quality night is the best it's been. I think that has something to do with the fact that what ailed my computer and it going down last Tuesday and it being in the shop and those guys getting it fixed up. They went in the inside and fixed a power bank and everything else inside of it. So I think that might be part of it. So we're much appreciative of that. I want to talk about, of course, our big sponsor. We do it each and every week thanks to Pride Roofing. And Mike Faraday and Alex Martinez. Of course, they're the official roofing company of TigerBait.com. And let's hear from Mike and Alex.
Hi, I'm Michael with Pride Roofing.
I'm Alex.
Were you affected by Hurricane Ida?
Insurance claim, no problem.
Are you concerned about the shortage of building materials?
We have what you need.
We're licensed residential and commercial contractors.
In Louisiana and Mississippi.
We install shingles, metal, and commercial roofing from Baton Rouge to Slidell or Houma up to the North Shore.
We got you covered. Call Pride, 855-PRIDE-16.
Pride Roofing, the official roofer of TigerBait.com.
And there we are. Mike Faraday, Alex Martinez, Pride Roofing. Nobody does it better than them. And if you're in South Louisiana, you have any roof issues, commercial or residential, please give them a call, 855-PRIDE-16. And again, our thoughts and prayers are with the Faraday family. Their mother, Gladys, is home from the hospital and not in a good way. And so we're thinking about them. But give them a call, 855-PRIDE-16. And like we say each and every week, give them a call for your free roof inspection and say TigerBait.com. And they're going to, and by the way, this is for those of you who aren't already subscribers. They're going to pay for you to have free Tiger Bait for a year. They're going to pay for it for you to have an annual subscription to Tiger Bait. And so jump on that if you're an LSU fan. And if you need a roof or you're curious about any future issues or how far you're out from your current roof, if you think it's about to get time, give them a call, and they'll work with your insurance adjuster as well.
Residential metal, obviously. Commercial roofs, folks, we've got the maintenance, we've got the product, we've got the help. Want to also extend the condolences. Look, we always ask, whether it be radio, Facebook, YouTube, internet, TV, family, please put the Faraday family in your prayers. It's never easy to see your mom at the end. I had to go through it. I was very close to my mom, and to this day, I appreciate the fact that I was there for her, and as a family, we were there for her. So please pray for the Faraday family. The big news, of course, 3 weeks before that is with the acquisition of Crown Metals. This is going to change the whole ball of wax. Alex was on the radio with me last Friday. Even roofing people, metal people, everybody calling them. Don't forget, locally in Baton Rouge, 275-2041. If you're out of the area, 855-PRIDE-16. They take great pride. It's not just something they say. They really do take great pride. You will be amazed at the organization and the integrity and the overall experience. So we do appreciate all of you doing business with them.
No doubt. I'm seeing their trucks and vans and everything else all over Baton Rouge in the area. Saw one getting off at Acadian Thruway 2 days ago. So they're out and about and doing the work for you. And everybody that we've dealt with that has been referred to them through TigerBait have been absolutely tickled with the work that they do. So give them a call. Man, we're piling up with some questions, guys. Let me get to them. Blaine Smith, good evening, Mike and Buddy. Mulkey bringing up getting statues for Augustus and fouls. Why has LSU been so slow with recognizing all-time greats?
Are we in Louisiana? I think Louisiana is pretty much known to be slow.
but also look at the ages of the former even football greats. What is the average age of someone either getting a number retired or name in the Ring of Honor like Billy Cannon? How old was Shaq when that thing went up?
Shaq was relatively quick, but I think it will happen in due time. And I think Kevin Fawkes, you don't retire the number anymore, you retire the jersey. I do think that is on the horizon. Look, they're trying to sell out the PMAC tomorrow night against Georgia. They are honoring Sylvia Fowles. There's no doubt that both those women deserve, whatever you want to put up there because they were something special. Kim Mulkey is going to come in here and do something that no coach has ever done. LSU's never won a game in the Final Four, men or women. I think most people agree Coach Mulkey is going to get it done. She's bringing back the former players. And, oh, by the way, if you follow TigerBait.com, you know the kind of job she is recruiting that superstar.
Yeah, Michaela Williams. And, Mulkey's got a list now of how many names. She wants something for D.D. Bro. I think she's mentioned Sue Gunner needing something. There's only so many facilities and courts to be named.
And we're in Louisiana. It's going to take a while.
She wants to push, where she get out there with the magic eraser and get Dale Brown off the court. What are you going to do?
Well, look, bottom line is that the men are struggling a little bit. You need to be a little more confident about the men's team than I am right now. I'm seeing some real problems. But for Coach Mulkey, what she's done in year one. But, yeah, she's trying to come over here, but also she's trying to get better facilities and all in one area. So let's go more.
He follows up, my most underrated recruit in the class. Whew. Man, I don't know. Is there somebody that's underrated?
Well, are you talking about just the high schoolers?
I would think just high schoolers.
This is a gut feeling. It's got no reflection because I'm
Fitzgerald West.
Yeah, well, look, I was going to answer Emory Jones. Emory Jones, to me, is a guy that I think has a perfect fit. He's got the body. He's got the toughness. And you could throw in Will Campbell. Now, both of them are very highly ranked, but how often does a true freshman offensive lineman come in and be in the two deep and play? I know Dellinger did this year because he had to. I like both those guys. But I like Emory Jones' future.
Well, I had Emory Jones as a 98 in the TigerBait rankings. Well, 99 is a 5. And, I could give him a 5. I can go in and change it right now. But he's right there. I had it Walker, Will, Aaron Anderson, Emory. I didn't have Jacoby as high as everybody else.
I know he was looking for somebody like Landon Ibieta or somebody like that, but look, it's going to be fun when you see LSU line up with these transfer portal guys and the new recruits.
Yeah. Let me scroll down, guys. Bear with me. Got a question. Let me scroll down. 337 Bo, thank you so much for the super chat. Mike, what's your take on Tackett Curtis? Is he as good as he looks on film? He's impressive. Yeah, I really like what I see in Tackett Curtis. I do know there is one thing I do want to see though, and because of COVID and recruits not being able to go out and take visits for a year, when it opened up last summer, he spent his summer going on visits, so he didn't participate in camps. So I'm hoping this summer I'll be able to see him participate at the LSU camp and elsewhere where he's going up against, like when LSU has and I don't know how Brian Kelly's going to do it, if they're going to have an elite camp or a special one-day who's who camp. But hopefully he's there where you get to see him in one-on-one, 7-on-7 type stuff with the best of the best. And we filmed him against East Feliciana in the playoffs. Of course, he played quarterback in that game for Manny and an exceptional team. He's got a teammate with an LSU offer as well. So I'm going to be looking to see Manny. I had planned on seeing Manny the opening game of the season last season. I was going to go all the way to Manny to see him host Union Parish. And then when Ida hit, and I helped put together the game with Madison Prep and STM because they both had their games canceled, I diverted to that game. And so it made it so the whole year I didn't get to see them because, they're one of those teams in that part of Louisiana that you want to fault them because they don't play any really spicy non-district games. But when you look at their district schedule, the amount of miles they travel just for their district, it's like Jennings and all those schools in the Southwest. They all log a lot of miles in district. So, but anyways, we ended up catching him in the playoffs. And look, he's got a crazy offer sheet, and I want to see more of him. I'm going to be real curious to see how this staff relates to him versus the previous. I know the coach was getting, I know there was getting a little dicey there last spring because LSU hadn't offered yet and everybody else had. And but this is a new regime, so we'll see how that plays out. That was a long answer.
No, I was going to add the PR with him and his coach last year was not good. So that's certainly, you were griping about the phone calls not being happening or the coaches not being visited here locally. LSU's already way behind on him. So you better shore up that relationship very quickly.
Yep. Kenny Russell, Mike, do you have any concerns going forward with Kelly recruiting the state? NIL's made it tougher to keep in-state recruits. Yeah, I kind of said that at the beginning of the show. I'm hoping I thought we were going to have him this week. We're Wednesday, and we haven't heard anything yet. We were told last week when we didn't have him for a second signing period day at the end of the day that we might have him this week. Well, it's Wednesday night, and we've been told nothing, whether it's tomorrow or Friday. So I'm assuming we're missing another week. Does that mean we're not going to get him until spring game? They nicknamed it Hyde and Biden. What is this? Catch Me If You Kelly. What's the other one I've been told? Is there going to be some funny monikers that start to add up? If of course, talk to someone at LSU and he says, "Man, do you really think he's afraid of talking to y'all?" No, I don't think that at all. But I think people want to hear from him.
I think that he is changing the culture of this football team, and it does seem like he's changing the culture
of the media.
And look, Bill Arnsparger was not great with the media. It was like, take it if you don't like it.
I think
tough. You know what?
I think Kelly's great with the media.
I'm saying Arnsparger was like that. Nick Saban was new to the SEC, so he was learning. Of course, Coach O, everybody knew about him and had relationships with him. Les Miles with the crazy stuff. That all being said, I'm not worried to the point now. I do think that it's going to take him a little while to learn how to spell Rouge and how to deal with the media. And here's the one thing about the media that he's going to have to learn. Everybody in the media is a conduit to the fans. The fans are going to get information from the media. Who's the third team left guard? Who's the backup punter? Oh, by the way, does Nathan Dibbert have a chance to come in here? You've got to replace the best field goal kicker ever, in my opinion, Cade York, and the best long-distance kickoff guy. People want to know.
Yeah, you brought in a deep snapper. What's your thought process there? There's a lot of questions.
But I do think he's going to do it on his time. and I do think people are going to be happy when he does. But I still think.
But get ready, folks. You know, I'm dancing around a little bit about it. There's other folks in the media that are starting to get irritated.
But they don't control Brian Kelly.
It's not about controlling him.
Well, then he's gonna do his press conference when he wants to, and not before or not after.
And by the way, it's not like he's got a room full of, who's the most,
I'll give you the over and under.
who's the most a-hole media people in the country. He ain't got none of them in Baton Rouge.
No.
Everybody here is pretty much supine. You know, there's one or two guys that might ask a question every now and then, and you know their names. But for the most part, it's easy peasy.
I'll tell you this. Cobb will ask the most questions.
Well,
Cobb's asking 5 questions at baseball media day.
Cobble gives himself over and unders to himself before he even goes into press conferences.
Look, I'm not making a big deal of it like you and Charlie and other people, but what I was trying to explain, Mike, is that, and Skip Bertman used to tell stories about this. Oh, Nick got to go to these things, and, people want to talk to him about who's this and who's that. You have to embrace that at LSU and in South Louisiana, but he's going to do that on his own watch,
Yep.
on his own clock.
All right, guys, let me scroll through some of these. Yeah, Jared Guillory, Brian Kelly has got Hannah Griff pulling his hair out, not speaking. I didn't hear that. I think someone had sent me Hannah Griff's podcast, and I listened to it, but I don't know which episode that was where he was doing it because I didn't hear him do it. But was he maybe a guest on somebody's show? Why does the sound so down? He signed a top 6 overall class and nailed a lot of needs. Most of the coaches seem like solid to great hires. We're not being down. I think maybe it's a little bit of the calm before the storm. I think first of all, we didn't get him after signing day. And so you didn't feed the animal. And now when I put out the story Sunday night about Walker Howard's thumb, Jamie Howard had told me that the hope was that maybe Walker would be back from the surgery and rehabbed in time for the second half of spring football. Well, when he said the second half of spring football, that immediately told me that they're going to start later than we thought, and that they actually are going to break for Easter week. And LSU will end up having whatever that last Saturday in April spring game like usual. So, but heck, how does that work? When's the Garth Brooks concert? The 30th? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Whenever that, I don't know. But anyways, so I just hope, we get some interaction with football before. I don't want it to be where we're waiting till the day before the start of spring football, and that's when we get him.
Yeah.
And that's when he's telling us about his new staff.
I think everybody's just got to take their blood pressure pills and their patience pills. Look, I hope people don't realize that there's a perception of being down. I in fact, think that LSU is going to play enough new players that you're going to have to buy a program and keep up with it. Miles Frazier and Shorts are going to come in here and be factors on the offensive line. You got a punter who started for Notre Dame, Jay Bramblett, is probably going to beat out Peyton Todd unless Peyton gets more consistency. You've got a deep snapper. We've never found out about Quentin Skinner. Is he back? Was he just going for the game? Joe Fouché is going to come in here and be a communicator and a talker and a leader in that secondary. Greg Brooks. You got the corner from Okie State. I mean, I can sit here and tell you that, but nobody knows right now how they will fit, how well they will play as a team. But one thing I think we can all assume, they're coming over here with a chip on the shoulder. LSU's going to have enough guys on this team with the right leadership and chemistry, and you're not going to have another Joe Burrow, but still, Keyshawn Butte is going to be one of your leaders. You can just take it to the bank. I think they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder, but Mike, nobody knows right now. It's like you're making this incredible pot of gumbo, and you're just on the roof, folks. You're just doing flour and oil, and everybody wants to be bubbling with the top of sausage and getting ready to serve. You got a long time before that pot of gumbo is cooked.
Dorian Starkey, 4 spots left. Care to venture a guess as to which positions they may go after? I believe another transfer portal quarterback will get one of them. I think you go through spring football, you see how the quarterback situation plays out. I tend to think they need another quarterback or will need another quarterback. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think number one position for me is a center, and it has been for a while. A tight end, and so there may be another linebacker. You know, they seem to have wanted a wide receiver, another wide receiver that they out there, or are they going to be fine where they're at now? But I like that they have 4 spots before they go into spring football, and because it might be where they have a pretty good idea of how they want those 4 to land and what positions, but then they go through spring football and something happens, or they reevaluate. No, we thought we were okay at that position. No, we're not, and so I like them having 4.
Well, and here's the other thing I was going to interject.
That's a
real
huge thing to have in your pocket.
But look, a lot of these kids around the country are going to go through spring football, and they may not be starting. They may not get the reps that they want, and they might leave. That could be a tight end. That could be a center. It could be a quarterback. So that's the question you'd ask of Brian Kelly. Hey, do you use up all 4 going into it, or do you wait until after spring to see if there's some holdover where you can get somebody after the fact? And there's a running back that we thought was going to possibly sign with LSU that played at Notre Dame, Landon Diggs, that could come back. You never know.
Do you know what my outlook for next year's season would be if you were to tell me that they're going to get a center at the end of May or for June that maybe is a second team all conference selection somewhere, and he's legit. My outlook for the season next year, just from that one position, because of what that does, chain reaction to the whole offensive line. They're going to be young in some spots. You got the right transfers. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, man, this offensive line goes from being a disaster to really, having a very positive outlook. And then a position where it starts the season looking one way and you watch it each and every week get better. And by the end of the year, you're really saying you got something and build something to build upon. So,
another question for the coach. Are you and Denbrock going to have a couple different quarterbacks with a couple different play sheets? In other words, let's be honest. Lane Kiffin ran the hell out of Matt Corral. Bryce Young ran when he needed to. Now, the kid from Georgia didn't run a lot, but he made some plays with his feet when he had to. My point is that we know Miles Brennan is prototypical drop back. He's not going to beat anybody with his feet. But how healthy is Walker Howard? Is he really going to redshirt? And secondly, Nussmeier, can you have packages for Nussmeier, the gunslinger, with a little run-pass option? And so what are you looking at? Because he's coming in the SEC. This is where I say a year and a half to 2 years to know really what the hell's going on in Baton Rouge. And I think you're going to find out the more you play in the SEC, you will find out what kind of talent you have on defense and what you have to do recruiting offensively. I like a guy like Ricky Collins that has the ability to hurt you with his feet and his arm.
Yeah. I want to talk about Tony Freeman, my dear friend, and of course, a valuable part of what we do each and every week here at TigerBait.com. And so if you're thinking of buying a home or refinancing your current mortgage but haven't found a lender you can trust, let me tell you about Tony Freeman with Assurance Financial right here in Baton Rouge. Dear friend of mine and someone who many of my friends have used for their mortgage needs repeatedly. Her knowledge and over 25 years of experience in the mortgage industry is unsurpassed. Tony offers a wide range of knowledge of home loan products, whether you're a first-time home buyer ready to buy a new home or you just want to explore your refinance options. Tony can guide you through your next mortgage experience. You can feel confident you're making the best financial decision with Tony as your guide. Not only is Tony a huge LSU fan, but Assurance Financial is a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Give Tony a call today, 225-239-7150. Again, 225-239-7150. And please tell her you heard about her right here on TigerBait.com. NMLS number 104765. equal housing opportunities, 70876. And something else that Tony, I dropped by her office last week, and one of the things that she told me to relay to you guys is to definitely give her a call. If you think you're going to be doing something, don't hesitate, because the Fed and everything that's going on right now with inflation and everything that the Fed did, injecting money in and everything last year, the rates are going to go up. So you don't want to dilly dally. Believe me, jump on it now before the rates go up. They're still great, but how long are they going to be great? So if you're thinking about doing anything, don't put it off. Look into it today. It doesn't hurt you to call her and tell you heard about it right here on TigerBait.
Tony's legit. Everybody says, oh, man, he's legit, she's real. Incredible attention to detail, incredible, beautiful smile, classy lady. And it's kind of interesting. You know, everything about Joe Burrow, everybody talks about how smart he is and how confident he is, what a leader he is. That's the kind of person Tony is.
By the way, dilly-dally. I'm just thinking of that I said dilly-dally.
Yeah.
Is that a boomer phrase?
I don't like to get into phrases classification of
That's an old
generations.
That's something a school teacher.
Tony's the real deal.
That's something a school teacher would have said when I was in elementary school.
By the way, when I said Ricky Collins, I was talking about the kind of football player he is, Mike, and that's a question I think. How much run-pass option are you going to see Denbrock and Kelly expect and want the quarterback to have? Those are the kind of questions that are going to be interesting as we move along in the spring.
Michael Dugan, who's quarterback one on the LSU recruiting board for 23? That's a good question. New staff, new relationships that they had cultivated. Denbrock while at Cincinnati, Brian Kelly while at Notre Dame. Notre Dame, of course, recruits nationally for quarterbacks. He's got relationships that, you know, you got to believe there's going to be some guys that arrive on the board name-wise that show up for camp this summer and for visits that he was probably recruiting since they were in the 9th grade while he was at Notre Dame. So I'm going to be real excited to see about that list. And I'm not saying that it can happen, but they've already stopped by Newman. You know, can something happen? You know, do they, I don't know when Arch Manning's, plan on making a decision. But either way, it's a positive they're getting by Newman with all the players at Newman.
I'm sorry.
I didn't say it was possible.
I'm sorry. Arch, first of all, you're a high school athlete. Go get you a freaking NIL deal with McDonald's right underneath the arches. I just don't think, seeing that he knows Walker Howard very closely.
Right.
I just don't think he wants to come in here. Most guys, there's a reason the kid went to A&M, right? Because he knows about Walker Howard. So, look, if Arch Manning signs with LSU, I will sit here and say I'm an idiot. It's not happening, folks. Quit worrying about it. And, oh, by the way, the name is, I think right now, a little more highly rated than the actual quarterback per se. Now, he may be awesome in 4 or 5 years, but Arch Manning right now has a long way to go as an athlete and making plays in the SEC.
Richard Pitts, Manny has scheduled a game with Newman. That's right. That got put out a few days ago against Newman, week 4. And Newman is traveling to Manny. Usually Newman games are like more media for a Newman game than you could ever see. There's one guy out there, I tease him. I always say that he's the official guy for, but I'm going to be curious to see how many of them make the trip all the way to Manny.
But you've said on this show you think Walker Howard's better than Arch Manning.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And so why would you go to a place?
And actually, I think if you say who, in my mind, who's the best quarterback in the state next year, I think it's Holstein.
Yeah. And that's why he went to Texas A&M, because Walker Howard and Nussmeier are going to be freshmen this year.
And, but, that's a funny thing because there's a little bit of trepidation when you say that, because I remember what everybody was saying about Eli Manning. Soft arm, not as good as his brother, not as big, not as physical, doesn't, can't throw it as far. but what is he? He's a Manning, and he's got that quarterback genetic code.
Yeah.
And so is there some things there that you're discounting them now, and because you're seeing in let's say Holstein, you're seeing a Holstein who's bigger, stronger, more athletic, can run faster, can jump higher. But does that necessarily mean if you rate him higher now, is Arch the better quarterback in 2 years of college?
Well, I think it's going to take Arch 3 or 4 years to go through all of that because he's not a good enough athlete. Now, if you talk about a dark horse, the latest thing they've been talking about is Napier's really trying to get him interested to come see him over in Florida. Alabama's in there, Georgia's in there, obviously Lane Kiffin's in there, although a lot of people don't think that the Mannings are really up to snuff with Kiffin and his antics. But all I'm saying is that generally speaking, when you've got two really good quarterbacks, they don't go to the same school.
I talked to a college coach not at LSU a week or two ago. He told me that he thought he liked Ricky Collins better than Arch Manning as well.
But look, let's focus in on more reality. That all being said, Mike, the Saints named Dennis Allen as the new coach, so it was something to be post-Breeze. Now it will be post-Peyton, and he doesn't have the answer to the question, who's going to be his quarterback? And I don't think Brian Kelly. What would you say if we went to Vegas right now and odds on the starting quarterback for LSU on the Sunday against Florida State in the Superdome, Labor Day weekend?
LSU -4?
No, I'm saying who would be the favorite to be the quarterback? I don't know. Because Brennan hasn't done it. Brennan's done it in the short
I don't know.
window.
I don't know Miles Brennan's health. I don't know. I don't know.
And so we tie this in is, do you take potentially a fourth quarterback to come in here because Walker is coming back from surgery and still needs to get bigger and stronger. Nussmeier had a propensity to be a little bit loose with turning it over and INTs, and Brennan has not shown that he can stay healthy a whole year, even though he's got a big cannon for an arm. Look, it's the most important spot on the field.
These guys all start at 0 with Mike Denbrock.
Yeah.
And is there maybe one of them that you're maybe discounting a little bit for whatever reason, whatever thing you don't like about them, but all of a sudden they really fit in what Denbrock does?
So if you've solved the center and the quarterback spot,
and Nussmeier is a year more mature.
I'm thinking LSU could be appreciably better than you think. But those two spots happen to touch the ball on every play, other than punts and special teams. So I'm gonna watch those very closely. By the way, we're gonna do our reports again. I'm hoping that this face has a little more
everything. Somebody was saying, "Get over it." BK will talk to you. You know, I get it, guys. Nobody likes to hear the media complain.
I agree with him.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Well, I know
you guys been acting like you have a menstrual cycle. Come on,
yeah.
It's not that time of the month.
Troy Davis, Mike, do you agree with 247 saying 9-3 for LSU? Man, I was of the mindset if he went into 8-4, he should be SEC Coach of the Year. If they hit 9-3, guys, that would be an insane. That would be fantastic. And then if you follow that up with, if you were to go do a 9-3 like that, and then you have a top recruiting class, you're saying, okay, this is BK's. Because to me, that's I don't know, 9-3. That's gonna be tough.
Too many.
But Auburn's a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Okay, so we always say, well, next year you got to go to Auburn, you got to go to A&M, you got to go to Florida. You don't even really throw Auburn in there now. So what are the games that get you there?
I know people love to try and predict this right now, but to me, I just talked about center and quarterback. We know Butte and a host of receivers is going to be good. You don't know the rotation at tight end. You don't know who's going to be your starting offensive lineman. Defensive line, pretty much you're sure. Hey, look, Matt House is coming in. He's a great linebacker coach. Blake Baker did a great job with him last year. You're going to coach him up. Baskerville's back. But once again, Harold Perkins, is he a guy that's a star? Or does he play special teams, or is he a monster? The DBs, you got new kickers. So my point is this: way too many variables that have yet to be determined. And it's fun to throw something against the wall, but right now, who knows if it's going to stick?
Yeah, I'm looking at that schedule next year, and we got a long way to go with that. Real quick, I want to touch on basketball. How big was that win for Will Wade last night? And when you look at the rest of the way, and then you start to thinking, okay, had they not won that game, and there's more games to be lost, and where's Will Wade with his contract? You know, what's going on with Woodward and his thinking right now?
Well, I think nobody really knows exactly. Coach Wade, I did get to the bottom of this. I looked this up. June 30 of 2023. Mm-hmm. So that means he's got the end of this year, and of course in 2023 their athletic year and fiscal year ends June 30th every year. So it's interesting.
But isn't it a deal if this June, if he's still there, he gets a bonus of $1 million?
I didn't get into all of the incentives and all of that. I just know it ends.
Yeah.
This contract is expected to end on June 30, 2023. Now, the $64 million question, is something going to come down the hatch, or has the NCAA pretty much deemed itself useless and not having that kind of power? There's a lot of push. They pushed off NFL to the Senate and the Republicans and the Democrats and the politicians, and nobody did anything. So now you got A&M doing whatever they want and Texas doing whatever they want. Man, the NCAA is driving on the interstate, and there's no police in right now. So,
well, Will Wade wants to know. LSU fans want to know. But how much do you think Scott Woodward wants to know?
Well, and if they hadn't done it by now, what I'm saying is,
especially with this contract thing coming up, and you know, believe me, and
I think it's
no different for an AD with a basketball coach as with a football coach. Them wanting their guy.
Well, that's the key point. Will Wade was not hired by Scott Woodward, and you see his track record of what he likes to hire. Guy sends me in today, boy, Scott did a hell of a job at A&M for LSU. I said, what? He got
Williams.
Jimbo over there, 10 years, $7.5 million. Now he's got Buzz. The last thing you want to have is the Buzz watching A&M play basketball. It was ugly last night, Mike, but LSU did win. But look, I think you got to quit worrying about whether there's going to be a new PMAC, a new contract, all that. Focus in on winning every game. Have the short memory and let all that stuff play out. But I hope they turn around. I just don't have much. They're not rebounding the ball.
Right now, it's looking like for a while there, it was like, would the women even get there? Then, you know, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were like, you know, the men and the women teams look like they might go maybe the same distance in their NCAA tournaments. And now it's looking like Mulkey's team's going to go way further. But, you know, who knows if the men's basketball team can get their groove back but they were, you know, 5-6 weeks ago, one of the most exciting teams to watch, and for the last 2 or 3 weeks, they've been the most aggravating team to watch.
I mean, this is so bad. I had to put the sunglasses on a couple times. They've been aggravating to watch, careless with the ball handling, don't want to rebound, not getting 50-50 balls. Look, they shot well last night from outside the arc. Penson's coming back. He's probably about 85-90%. Air Gaines is a love-hate relationship. He plays out of control, but he makes some incredible plays. Darius Days, when he's on, can make the 3-ball. Darius Trays. Efton Reed, Alex Fudge, and Sharif O'Neal. I was coming out of the shrink's office today, and there they were. They all had appointments to talk to the shrink. All joking aside, they've got to flip the switch on those big guys. They're not you're getting ready to play some really big teams. Now, they went 3 guards with a lot of a smaller lineup, but I just, unless they get their chemistry back, Tari Eason continues to play fantastic. But Mawani Wilkerson has had his moments. Brandon Murray, really good freshman. I just don't know if they're going to go on the run that everybody expects them at the end of the season, and a lot of that will be determined about the health of this ball club.
Yeah, Troy Davis, Wade can recruit. Hal Jubin says, agree, buddy. They will extend Will Wade at the end of the season. Charles Duncan, Reed played well last night. And
Yeah, he did.
Chad Michael, prediction for baseball. Teams look like they're going to score a lot of runs, but pitching, and he gives this emoji.
Had Jay Johnson on the show yesterday, and just more and more as you get to know him, you can tell. We talk about attention to detail and dotting every I and crossing every T. I mean, it's just phenomenal to listen to the guy, how focused he is, how structured he is.
Talked to 3 people last week that went to that NIL deal, not to just interject real quick.
Yeah.
And they all said Jay Johnson was the most impressive. And all the coaches were there. Will Wade, Brian Kelly, Mulkey. They said Jay Johnson was the most impressive of all the coaches that spoke.
And he's in his 40s, and he's not set in his own ways. And he's coming over here, and he's fired up. By the way, he took Arizona to Omaha 2 or 5 years. This is going to be a great product, but he's not said a lot about the bullpen and the starters, and he's kind of hush-hush on all of that. But this is going to be a fun team, and Tiger Shark, you are going to enjoy it immensely.
I think it's going to be a deal where after, I don't know, maybe so many weekends, you're going to say on Fridays, what's the over and under on how many pitchers pitch tonight?
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a lot of arms. And
he does some he'll do it by hook or crook, and they believe that everybody in the lineup from top to bottom can hit. So, is there maybe some Friday night pitchers that are really salty? And man, that the schedule's brutal. But is there some Friday night pitchers that falter, or they can get to, or don't, or they're getting to them late in games? When we'll see.
Well, of course, Devin Fontenot in the latest scrimmage threw 93. He has really gained about 3 miles per hour on the hard stuff. Reiselman throws 96, 97. It's going to be fun to see how that all plays out. Mike, they hit.
Yeah, Charles Johnson but they all worked the room. They went all around the room. I got the lowdown.
They hit 93 home runs last year. They're going to hit over 100 this year.
Let's see what we got here. Michael Duyon says the facilities for LSU basketball needs to be vastly improved. It's to the point that it's embarrassing. And I don't know that it's embarrassing. You don't have suites. Will Wade made a big deal about the hot water heater. Now, I thought that was, there's no excuse for that.
Well, I think you said the key word.
All the money flying around. I'm seeing the salaries for some employees in the athletic department to just make your hair curl. And you can't get these guys tankless water heaters installed?
Well, look.
You see what the chef is feeding the football team?
Yeah. I saw that.
It's like the Windsor Court menu every day.
Look, both Kim Mulkey and Will Wade are pushing very hard for Scott Woodward to dress up the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. It's been rode hard and hung up wet. You like a lot of aspects of it. The question is, what are you going to do? The money is in the suites. We know that they're downgrading. Now, they had 13,000 plus for gymnastics, but for basketball, they get about 10, 5, or 11. And
but other than the suites, what is wrong with the PMAC? And believe me, I want a new arena just because I want a new arena that maybe we'll start to get some really good rock concerts in this city.
Yeah.
Okay? And where it's at now, you can't do it. That's why we haven't seen major concerts at the PMAC since the 90s. But you can eat off the floor in there. Every seat's brand new. The new gondola up top, clean as a whistle. There's a lot worse venues out there.
Well, but see, that's the thing about Will Wade recruiting so well. 2 5s and a 4 coming in here.
Now, hot water heaters, that's stupid.
Well, look.
But as far as and I talk to fans that go like, man, the concession stands. I don't know. Is there a line? I don't know. What's the problem?
Yeah. Well, it's like anything else. When you get old, you start to break down a little bit more. And also, have you noticed everybody wants to compete with everybody with facilities? And so Alabama's getting ready to spend, I want to say, $180 million on a new basketball.
Baylor's $180 million.
Okay, so, but look, Scott Woodward's got a lot of things on his plate right now.
And they're going down in size. I think 180. By the way, how big is Alabama's new arena? Did you see?
I didn't see what
Baylor's, I think, 700,000.
Yeah.
Everybody's wanting to go smaller.
But you know the first thing on Scott Woodward's plate right now, huh? Get back to Tiger Stadium where you have 70-something thousand season tickets, and you got more fingers up in the air for tickets than you do tickets themselves. That is his biggest chore, because guess who pays the bill? Football.
Yeah, and it's not just the problem with a new PMAC, which is a major ordeal. If the price tag that we're seeing out there is $180 million for a new basketball facility, the plan that I was told, or one of the proposals, was not just they want to move the PMAC closer to Nicholson. They want to uproot Bernie Moore and build a new track stadium out like where softball and everything's at, out there. Okay, well then what about a new auditorium? I don't know how much is a new track stadium? They just refurbished the track stadium. Can you uproot the whole floor of that thing, the track itself and the pits, and just replant it somewhere? I don't know how that works. An auditorium, what's that? 30 million? How much is an auditorium?
Do you know how many people?
So you got to rebuild all that, and then they want to make so then they implode the PMAC and make a commons area out of it, like the Grove. So you'd have a green area right in the middle, and you'd have a new basketball arena closer to Nicholson. And you'd have a green center strip there, between there and the older OK Long, and where you can tailgate and sell corporate tailgate spots, which I think would be beautiful. And you can have like Friday afternoon concerts and stuff out there, and you can go against Live After 5 and do stuff out there. But I don't know. But I mean, we're talking about there. What's the price tag for all that?
Well, and
$260 million.
If they didn't have to pay all this money to dead money for these coaches that aren't here anymore in football, might help the bottom line a little bit. Oh, by the way, 2 years of COVID. That's why I'm saying this is a big comeback year for Scott Woodward in dollars and cents. And now the thing that you've mentioned on numerous occasions, how do you effectively satisfy TAF's needs as well as NIL needs? And so we're talking about an incredible different landscape than we were 2 years ago. 2 years ago, everything was peaches. LSU was having the greatest run and all that other stuff. And so it changes. Oh, by the way, when we were talking recruiting, remember this with the transfer portal, Mike. And a lot of people will say this, and I agree with them to some extent. The transfer portal now is just as important as your signing class each year, because there's been so much activity. So.
Yep.
I'm not buying all that stuff's going to happen to the PMAC.
No, I'm
tomorrow.
not either.
I think we're talking years.
You're talking a decade, probably.
Yeah, probably so.
But
we'll see.
That's where Mulkey comes in.
Yeah.
She is the firecracker.
She's the X factor.
Yeah. Because she gets people motivated.
And by the way, they're trying to sell out the Pete Maravich Assembly Center tomorrow night, honoring Sylvia Fowles, 7 o'clock. And what a fantastic! I think
I'm going to that.
I know you don't keep up with gymnastics, but last Friday against Auburn, Saturday, they normally go on Friday night. They went at 3 o'clock on Saturday. Suni Lee, who was the overall champion in the Olympics, came in here with Auburn, and it was a fantastic meet. And LSU, 197-975, and 3 10s. Of course, Haley Bryant had a 10, Suni Lee had a 10, and then Kaya Johnson had a 10. Unbelievable family entertainment. So, but I'd love to see Coach Mulkey get a sellout. I don't know if it's going to happen in year one, but when's that young lady signing? The number 1 recruit?
Well, she's class of 20.
She's 24 or 23?
She's 23.
Okay.
23.
And you get players around her.
She'll be a senior next year.
But if you have a chance, go tomorrow night to support women's hoops along with Sylvia Fowles. probably the most consistent and best big man of all time.
Mulkey has done a fantastic job bringing in bringing in the old guard, the greats of LSU women's basketball. We all saw the photos of her in Lake Charles scouting Michaela Williams on that Saturday evening, and she had Simone Augustus over her shoulder watching her as well. To me, that's absolutely fantastic. And someone's saying, is Augustus going to go into coaching? What is she going?
She's already doing a little bit of that I think she may end up back at LSU.
Yeah. So that would be absolutely fantastic too. So, by the way, guys, do me a favor if you're enjoying the show, please hit the like button and please share it to social media. And if you're watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get an alert every time we go live. We load interviews and so forth nonstop around the corner. And I'm about to dive back into our archives. I've got well over a decade of prospect video that we've shot at TigerBait.com and from our video vault series. And I'm going to start massively uploading all the old recruit videos, the stuff where you can go and see what reminisce about Devon Godchauer and all the games we shot of Fournette and Beckham and Landry. I've got some real fantastic stuff in there that I need to get out on YouTube, and it'll be in a playlist. So I'm going to be loading those up all throughout the spring. So you'll want to be subscribed to our YouTube channel and get alerts when we get that. And, of course, we really want to have you as a subscriber to TigerBait.com. When the show's over, go to TigerBait and subscribe. You can try us out for a week for $1. You'll get our newsletters, our text alerts, all our premium updates. Of course, we're covering women's basketball, men's basketball, football. Spring football will be here before you know it. LSU baseball, the works, all your analysis. And our community on our Tiger Den premium message board is growing. We've got a lot of lengthy conversations. We've got a lot of great opinions amongst our subscribers. And so we want to have you as a part of that group. I'm on the boards day and night answering questions and mingling with everybody. So go to TigerBait and subscribe. And we want to thank all of y'all for tuning in each and every week. So, and we'll be back here next week. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just want to say, who day? Al Michaels had that incredible call, "Do you believe in miracles? Do you believe in destiny?" Can you imagine the run that Joe Burrow would personally have from making that decision to come to LSU instead of Cincinnati, playing in 18, setting the table, all the awards in that season in 19, gets his first cup of coffee the first year, gets hurt. Year 2 at LSU, winning a national championship and a Heisman. Year 2 in Cincinnati, do you believe in destiny?
Yeah, I do.
I want to believe that they can win if they can hold and block Aaron Donald and that defensive front.
Seriously, when you talk about fairy tales in sports, how can you not draw it up any more than Joe Burrow? Especially if he wins the Super Bowl in year 2, which really this is his first year of football because he got hurt, a third of the way through his first season. Just the route he took, the fact that he's, the quote the other day was so him. What advice do you give to young? Yeah, do your workouts and don't post them to Instagram. Just show what you do on game day. And that's right, because he's not a big social media guy.
Yeah.
And that's why he's so well adjusted. He's not living on Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff and Twitter and look at me and I'm putting in the work. No, he's doing the work, and you're going to see the work he put in. Everybody's telling him, man, he should pull a Manning and tell the Bengals he's not going to go there, that they shouldn't draft him. They're terrible, and Mike Brown and blah, blah, blah. He's getting sacked 9 times in a playoff game, and he still wins. He blocks all that garbage out, and that's why he's just the story. And that's why you see – it's just to me it's astonishing and I subscribe to all the YouTube channels. Eisen, Dan Patrick, McAfee. I watch what all they put out every day. And these guys, national guys who've seen it all, their eyeballs get this big when they talk about Joe Burrow. And so it's not just us. They all see it. And look, I mean, what percentage of the country is pulling for the Bengals?
Oh, we talked about that today. I really think 75 or more percent pulling for the Bengals. I like McPherson. He's 11 for 11. Oh, by the way, came over from Florida, hadn't missed in the postseason. Cincinnati defense has been playing appreciably better. They're going to run the football. They're going to try to get Joe Mixon in. I like Cincy 30-27. And I just think that it's been awesome to see all of the free publicity that LSU has gotten. You could go in that film, every quarterback you recruit in the future, every wide receiver you recruit in the future, you can put the tape in and say, dude, you can do this. These guys came over here. Joe Burrow was told that, guess what? You throw like a freaking girl. Jamar Chase was told by a well-established coach, you damn strong football team. I really like you as a DB. I don't know about wide receiver, but I give you a shot at DB. And it once again, the story of life out there. Motivation and proving people wrong. And that's what makes this story so great. The other thing, humility. Win with humility, and the people love you. You don't have to tell people if you're great. They'll tell you Joe Burrow is so popular with the women, with the blue eyes, but he's got class, he's got integrity, he's got humility. I hope that he brings it home.
It's just the whole. It's just the whole package. I mean,
Yeah.
then when his mom and dad do interviews together, I mean, how cute couple. I mean, it's just the whole thing. I mean, and even when he's wearing Chanel sunglasses or whatever he's doing in that big puffy coat, it's just, you just look at him and you just love it all. It's just, everybody's just scooping it all up. So, look, if they win Sunday, and then the Bengals have $60 million of cap room.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what they can do in the free agent market and what a beeline free agents are going to want to make to Cincinnati of all places? Because of Joe Burrow and his swagger.
And well, even Gronk said that. Gronk said, I'm probably leaning towards retirement, but I'd love to play a year or so with that kid. But what I was trying to tie in, Mike, is that people are connecting what happened in Baton Rouge and Louisiana and in 19, what's going on with the Bengals. And it is great publicity, and it is a great selling tool. Now, if they can get just caught up to snuff with NIL and start to make phone calls and visiting people and learning how things are done here, I think it's going to be a good ending.
To me, there's also correlations here because Cincinnati, even though they had the big red machine,
they haven't won anything.
It's kind of, that city's kind of like New Orleans. They call them the Bungles. We had the Aints.
Yeah.
And so, everybody's just, normally the networks wouldn't want a game like this. They do get the LA team, but I have a feeling that the ratings for this Super Bowl are going to be
going to be through the roof.
Yeah.
And they released today that Cincinnati has had more social media hits on Twitter and all the other mediums than any other team. And look, it's not just Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase; it's all of those guys. But once again, a great story.
And does Mike Brown have the same route that Tom Benson did? Because a lot of things they said about Mike Brown are the things they said about Tom Benson. They win a Super Bowl, and you never heard those things ever again.
Yeah. So we're pulling for the Bengals. Hope everybody doing well out there. And as always, I am appreciative for you punching the clock for over an hour and 10 today.
Yeah, we're hour and 14 minutes. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Please share. See you on TigerBait.com. We'll be back next week, and y'all have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you. Talk then. All right, guys, good night.